Testing. Testing. Testicles. Oh my goodness, James, find the button. You gotta find it. There I am. Good morning, all. Welcome to a tardy morning. As a mooring ball, I'd like to apologize for my tardiness. I was vastly underestimating the time it took me to do this. Thanks for being here. Yeah, apologies for the intro. Whenever I do the radio show, OSB turns on a double input, and then when I do the live stream, I have to remember to turn it off manually. And so that's what happens. All this work on the intros, and I think I've probably played the intro more messed up than I've actually played it non-messed up. So there you go. Also, I got some complaints today that apparently I used the word planet. I used the word planet yesterday. My deepest apologies. I apparently have offended some of you. And that at no point in time am I ever to slip back into what we've done several live streams about how it's very difficult to maintain a center, a bubble of truth, and that there are going to be times when you wake up and you actually forget the entire zetics of it all. And when I told you that, I said that I think it happens to you too, but many in the comments were like, no, I totally know. No, I'm totally not affected at all by that. That the zeitgeist bubble is immune from me. And it never, ever penetrates me because I'm completely impenetrable. And I've been telling you, no, I think that's bullshit. I think that you'll find that you have to burn calories to remember the truth. And that those same calories are what you would call your ego. It'd be what you'd think of as the amount of energy it takes to sustain your hull, to not sink to the bottom. And I am here to tell you that I have some profound experience in sinking to the bottom, and I have some profound experience in finding ways to rise above that. So yes, forgive me for calling it a planet. Forgive me for being tardy. Forgive me for playing two intros over the top. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to get through this show right now, but I just really wanted to engage in your witness. I wanted to be here and I wanted to see you guys. So if you're looking for some perfection right now, it's not going to happen. Some of you may or may not be aware that I took a nasty fall Monday afternoon. I fell from my third-story deck onto the concrete pavers down below. It's been a very fascinating week. I have never been so amazingly thankful, grateful, amazed, and blown away that I can walk right now. And when I say walk, I'm using a very, very broad definition of the word walk. And it would make total sense to me that the first thing I would do is revert to calling things planets. As I've said before, maintaining the reality bubble around you requires a lot of calories. And there are many times where these calories will be diminished and you will falter. But you may not be aware that you're faltering, and you will actually not really respond when I do a live stream explaining that, guys, I think sometimes you wake up and you forget the truth too. That you wake up or you enter into a state or you enter into a mood and you're not fully aware of everything, but as soon as you bring it up in a conversation, you'll load it and then you'll say you're aware, but actually your body was holding a posture the entire time that you are living on a spinning ball. I've been saying this to flat earthers for a while, but I'm not invited to Flattoberfest anymore. So it tells you, right? There's like a purist kind of test, and I think I failed that. But I kind of like it because I think that it's important that we maintain the truth about just how powerful it is to live surrounded by a bunch of other people that are psychically rendering a reality that's different that's different than your own. And that when you were with them, those people, their reality ends up merging with yours because you're a human. You're a beautiful human. Some of you are vulnerable, but most of you hopefully are working on being permeable instead. And that permeability is a judgment call, and sometimes you think you're being permeable, but actually you're being vulnerable, and sometimes you are too worried about being vulnerable, and so you're not permeable enough. And this is a delicate balance that we're going through. If you are looking for me to constantly remind you of the reality so you can get reinforcement from that, it's not a healthy relationship. I need you guys to be more zetetic. I need you to share the same sort of zetetics as me, which means that if I was to come out next week and tell you that it is a planet, we are living on a spinning ball, that even that should be something that shouldn't really affect what's happening on your core instruments inside. You could certainly stop watching me because of that, right? I mean, I got no beef with that. But I don't think that we're going to be able to get by if we're going to be expecting others to withhold those again. Would you have Jerry Marzinski on again? No, I really like Jerry Marzinski a lot. I think he's a great guy. And but if you watch the interview I had with him, you see terror in that man's eyes when I'm telling him what I think. When I was describing to him the principles of melanin and dopamine affecting what reality you actually see, it made him uncomfortable. I don't think it made Jerry uncomfortable from the state of that's creeping me out, or I really disagree. I think that Jerry probably could have invested more time into this idea and maybe even would have come on board. But right now, I get emails from Jerry about every day telling me how Biden is evil and Trump is here to save us. And I still respect the fuck out of Jerry, but I literally terrified him in that interview. And I'm surprised that I'm not surprised, but I noticed afterwards that I don't actually hear from him. And I would think if there's anyone in this world that has given evidence to back up what Jerry Marzinski has said, it's been me. And I think that evidence has been brand new, fresh, really exciting stuff that we've talked about. We talk about it all the time. You probably know that. So I want you to know that's actually why I don't reach out to Jerry again to do shows like that. I think it simply made him uncomfortable. Jerry has a pretty freaking dope, wide open aperture, and he's from he's an older version of the software than I am, and I'm an older version of the software probably than most of you. And so the older the version of software is, when you find someone that has that older version of software running and you notice their aperture is wide open, I believe that's someone that needs your deep respect. And I do not think that I was giving Jerry my deep respect in that interview. I think I made him uncomfortable. And but if you're interested in more about that, Jerry was just one of many, many people that I spoke to that led me to this eye of Ra principle, the idea that what is last will be first. And that there's a society out there calling something a third eye, but in fact it's the first eye. And when someone loses their optic nerves, they are able to see. They are able to see. I don't mean symbolically. I don't mean religiously. I don't mean emotionally. Actually, I do mean emotionally. But that they are still able to see. James, how can you see without your optic nerve? And the answer is the first eye. That there is a central crystal that is rendering the world around you, and that this central crystal or needle on a record player is playing reality for you in we'll say 7-dimensional space, meaning if you add up all of your senses, they're actually more than 5 senses. They're actually more than 7 senses. In fact, nausea, believe it or not, is a sense. You can look that up. But I'm talking about that there are 7 unique dimensions. My dimensions, by the way, are in this world. I don't buy into if you open the closet portal and go into this other dimension, you'll find a reptilian who wants to sell you some Amway. No, I'm talking about the dimension of sound, the dimension of light, the dimension of smell, the dimension of touch, the dimension of witness, the dimension of presence. These 7 senses, I don't know how many I just named there, but these 7 senses are actually broken apart from a central point of light. Cue Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon album. I don't have it, but cue that. I know most of you have the optic ability to see this when I say this. So cue Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon album, and you will notice that there is a single point of light entering the pyramid and being splintered into 6 or 7 beams, and each of those beams is a different dimension. These dimensions are something that we perceive, much like a painter would render something to the canvas, and that the demonology that the great Jerry Marzinsky was researching in his work with prisoners, over 1,000 prisoners that he documented, he was actually seeing that many of these patients, most of them labeled as schizophrenic, were in fact seeing not hallucinations but a bona fide reality. And that the proofs of this are, first of all, there were mutually congruent realities where 2 or 3 people were having the same hallucinations, and there was spatial knowledge broadcast. One of Jerry's most famous stories is one of his patients being told by the voices to go to Portland, a city he'd never been to before, and meet a guy named Reggie. I don't think his name was Reggie, I'm just saying that. But meet a guy named Reggie in a park, and that he would give you drugs. And that man drove from Arizona to Oregon and found Reggie, and sure enough, Reggie had drugs for him. It's the same way if you were to lose your optic nerve, you would still be able to see. You would still be able to perceive. And that these perceptions do not actually come through our eyes, they come through our first eye, our pineal, and they are separated into these dimensions and allocated to the dimension of sound, allocated to the dimension of smell, allocated to the dimension of sight, allocated to the dimension of touch. And why would we allocate those things? So that you and I can discern what the source is from one of these dimensions is digestion, by the way. Definitely need to talk about that. But that you are able to render these things from these different parts and pull information out of it. That having this 7-pointed prong rendering system allows you to see, allows you to, I'm not going to say see, allows you to determine or experience what is actually happening there. There's a Reggie with drugs in every park here in Portland. Okay, well maybe that was a cheat then, Joe. It could be. It's a good point. Could be a cheat there. Dimension, nice, Alex. So, that's why. If I thought that Jerry was more comfortable with that, I would definitely have him on, though. I think he's advanced my work more than most other people, and that's why I mentioned him in my latest book, in the chapter on, was that my latest book? I think Eye of Ra was not my latest book. I think Eye of Ra might have been my second to latest. No, Eye of Ra was Best Apocalypse Ever. If I had a back, I would just roll back there and tell you, but I'm pretty sure that it is in Best Apocalypse Ever. There's a chapter called The Eye of Ra, and I discuss so much more than I'm telling you now. There's actually a lot of science to this. In fact, there's a chemical anthropologist, believe it or not, at Stanford that's doing this talk on YouTube, and I was listening in on that, and dude was backing up everything I was saying in his discussion about about dopamine. He never mentioned the word melanin once, but he was talking about dopamine found in cadavers and determining what they are and what they aren't, and things like that. So Monday afternoon, chilling out, minding my own business, and fell off a deck. I don't have this pulled up because I'm not trying to make a big deal out of it, but I'm going to show that. There you go. I was standing up there where you see the hole is through the deck, and I realized there's some weird... There we go. I was standing up there, and that little triangle piece, that scooped me, sadly, out onto the floor. And that floor, that's the second floor. And I don't think I have a picture of the first floor. Let me see. Yeah, here's a little video if it'll show you. Here's There's where I was. And there's where I landed. Right there on that concrete pad right there. I landed there right foot first. And it scared the shit out of me. There were 4 witnesses. I actually live on a pretty tame cul-de-sac. I know most of you disagree because for some reason at 11 a.m., everyone that has a machine likes to drive by. But it's usually a pretty quiet cul-de-sac. I need to stop saying that. Obviously, it isn't quiet. Because on this day when I landed, excuse me, if I have to cough, it's going to hurt like hell. And you're going to see a really ugly face. And I don't want you to take it personally. So if I give you two fingers, look away. I don't want you to see the ugly facial expression because some of you might read that and interpret that, and I don't want you to do that. So there were 4 witnesses on the scene. My new neighbor who had turned his house into an Airbnb, he and I have had kind of a stressful relationship because he turned the end of my cul-de-sac into a B&B. And 2 men that were doing work for him. And he called up to me. I stepped out onto the deck and we were discussing some trivial matters about irrigation pipes and things like that. And I fell through as these guys were watching me. And when I hit the ground, these 3 men came to me. They were certainly concerned about what had happened. One did not come. One immediately called the ambulance. I think there was some discussion, but there wasn't much debate. They had called the ambulance, and it happened to be that there was a cop just down the talking to my other friend down here. That this is again a small town. There's only 300 people living here, and the cop came up and he was like, "Yeah, you definitely have to call an ambulance for this one," and my first reaction was, oh shit, if I end up in that ambulance, I'm in serious trouble. And I had just fallen 3 stories onto a stone patio. I'm not trying to elicit your sympathy. I want you to know I'm telling you this story. I've really debated even telling this story on the live stream. We discussed it in Dojo already. If you missed Dojo Wednesday, we really talked about the alchemy of this whole thing. But I just want to briefly say that when I hit the ground, I was scared. I didn't know if I was paralyzed. I didn't know what happened. I was full of adrenaline, which was great. But I was scared until I heard the word ambulance, and then I realized, holy shit, I'm in danger. There is a metallic panther on its way, and it's going to want to swallow me. And when it swallows me, the first thing it's going to do is eat my clothes, eat my ID, take all my possessions away from me, and place me in a chamber. And that chamber is not going to have windows that open, and that they're going to beep and flash lights at me all night while they tell everyone that I need to be on the COVID ward because I don't have a vaccine. And that I knew that if I was to at any point in time go unconscious or express too much pain, that there was a real, live, bona fide danger of being placed on a ventilator and suffocated under the realm of governmental eugenics. And I'll tell you something, boys. Having that adrenaline and seeing the threat of that ambulance, I got the fuck up. And I could not walk up the stairs. I got up and I crawled into my car. It was the first safety spot I could think of. I have a very low riding Honda Element that actually has a camping bed already in the back. I just really love having the ability to travel like that. I immediately crawled into the back of that, and I was thinking maybe I could hide here, but I also realized these guys knew where I was. And I started to contemplate that it would probably look like I was delusional if I was, or in shock if I was hiding in the car, and they would take me from that vehicle and put me in that metallic panther anyway. I've never been afraid of the hospital. I now know what a hospital is. And I want you to hear this story today on tax day because I want you to know what a semi-normal citizen, I get it, I'm not like your mainstream citizen, but I want you to understand what a semi-normal citizen is going through right now when it looks at the ridiculous excuse of a medical industry, we're calling, that a grown man, a veteran, I'm not trying to milk it, I'm just saying, a veteran who's participated in society, takes a 3-story fall, lands on a rock patio, and his first concern is, oh my God, don't let the ambulance fucking come kill me. That was my biggest fear. And this neighbor that I have a tense relationship with because he started, turned his house into an Airbnb, I felt completely justified in milking him. His name was James too. And I said, James, you're going to have to do me a favor. And he's like, what's that, James? And I'm like, I need you to crawl into the basement. I need you to crawl over my concrete mixer, step on the welder so you can reach the next concrete block. You'll find a piece of plastic. I need you to shimmy on your belly up that piece of plastic. And when you get up to the top of the hill, you will turn around and you will see a plywood piece of a plywood covering that used to be a door into a bathroom that used to exist. If some of you may remember my bathroom parts that we went over, and that in that space, if you were to push that door open, you were able to access my second floor. And if you could unlock my glass door, my sliding glass door, I can get back inside before the ambulance gets here. And James heard me say before the ambulance gets here. And do you know what he did? He fucking crawled on his belly under my house, stepped over the concrete mixer, stepped on top of the welder to reach the first concrete block to crawl on this disgustingly dirty plastic that had been laying on the ground, and crawled his way up into a place he'd never seen before in the complete dark to push open a plywood fake door to unlock a glass door of a man that's been giving him a shitty time because he's turned the cul-de-sac into an Airbnb. And the entire time he told me, I'm in the medical industry, I get it, James. I get it. And when he came down and unlocked that thing, I used the rest of that adrenaline to climb up those steps and go into that door and lock it. Lock it before the ambulance came. And I'm trying to explain to the cop how sane I am. I'm giving him my first responder tests. I'm telling him, hi, I'd like you to notice my capillary refill, please, officer. Officer, can you see my feet? Yes, I can. I was barefoot at the time. He's like, would you mind squeezing my toenail to check the capillary refill? He goes, yes. I said, can you verify that? He said, yes, I can. I said, okay, I'm going to wiggle my toes now. Can you see that? He said, yes, I can. I said, it is this date. I do not believe that countries are what we think they are, but Biden right now is the current president. My name is James True. I am this old. I am at this address. The year is this. I gave him all the information he needed to eliminate the threat of the fucking metallic panther coming to take me away. And I crawled into my house and I locked the door. And I crawled upstairs and I laid on my bed on my back. And the adrenaline gave me that gift. And 20 minutes later, I could not move. I could not move. I'm sorry. I could move my arms. I could move my head. I could blink. My heart was beating. I could breathe. Breathing didn't hurt. Nothing up here hurts to do. Nothing up here hurts to do. Everything from my nipples down hurts like a bitch. It has been a long week, and it's been a beautiful one. I did not reject the inflammation. I embraced it. I laid down and looked at the inflammation as a cocooning effect that was re-amalgamating my insides and causing me to heal. I did everything I could to say the pain that you are feeling right now is exactly the amount of energy that will be required to repair you right now. So let's stop bitching about the pain. And let's be reverent about the sheer power of your body, James. That your body right now knows exactly what to do. And your body is doing everything necessary to fulfill what's needed. I did not eat for 48 hours, which is ironic because last week, some of you may remember, I was trying to fast for 72 hours and I made it about 50 hours. And my body was just like, dude, I don't want you standing. I don't want you doing anything. And so I felt like I had failed in that way. And because I could not move, because I had locked my door, there's no fucking way I was going to be getting any food anytime soon. And I didn't look at that as torture. I said, you know what? If I'm not digesting food, my body is going to be generating T cells in 32 hours. And if I embrace the fact that I cannot eat right now, this could be the best thing that ever happened. Because that fasting itself would kick into high gear your body's desire to do what's needed. And that it would not be distracted by this, oh my God, another fucking English muffin? You want me to digest this right now? It didn't have work to do. All it had to do was tend to the injuries that I had sustained. And the reason why I'm telling you this story is because it's fucking tax day. It's fucking tax day. And before a man named Barack Obama came along, I was paying a company $120 a month, and I had 100% full coverage on any kind of accident that could happen to me as long as I met a deductible of $5,000. And that made me feel so fucking mature back then, that I was so on top of it that I had this thing. And the federal government came in and said, no, you are not entitled to that kind of health care. And they took it away from me. And the next year, actually it was several years later, right? A government-sponsored euthanasia program was enacted and installed on this land. And one of the dearest people I know who lives down the street from me, who started a wildlife center that changed my life because I saw what someone was doing to change the environment around them, decided to believe the government, and she died 2 weeks later of a heart condition because she bought into that fucking story. The same story that Obama told you was told to you again by the other side in Operation Warp Speed. The FDA has been in business since 1908, and they have still not been able to get around to determining whether or not a fucking houseplant is okay for you, despite the fact that your body is completely built off an endocannabinoid system, and that there is a houseplant that has a receptor for that system that grants you fucking life, and government took that away from you. And that all three of these things have been overshadowed because since World War II, every 1.3 years, your taxes have paid for you to invade another fucking foreign country. 73 countries and counting, many of them double, triple invasions. We have murdered the man who has created the largest irrigation drinking water program in the entire world. We have a bounty on the head of a president from South America who has never attacked our soil. And it's tax day. And every time I tell people not to pay taxes, I'm told in this same way that I'm fucking crazy, that I'm the one in the fucking wrong because of how dangerous it is not to pay taxes. And I just want to take a fucking moment for us to really sink our teeth into this goddamn reality. Because all of us are contributing to paying for the euthanization of your fucking neighbors, of people that I love and respect, of foreigners you will never ever meet, to prop up a petrodollar that has never once been valid, and to eliminate the ability for you to interact with your endocannabinoid system inside your body. And the pushback that I get from everybody about taxes is fucking disgusting. Because people want to not pay taxes for free. They want morality for free, and it's fucking grossing me out. We have this notion in this world. You're too preachy, James. Turn it down. Turn it down. We have this notion in this world that morality is an action. And it's not. Morality is a burning of calories. Morality is the secretion of energy. Morality is hard, not easy. Morality is illegal, not legal. Morality is suffering. It's not a goddamn parade where everyone says, oh my God, you found a wallet and you brought it back to the person that owned it to you, therefore you're moral. And so he gave you half of his money and he bought you a cake and he took your picture and he wrote on Instagram about how this world's a beautiful place because you brought him back his wallet. That is not fucking morality. That is you simply being a human and realizing that you could just feel good by returning something that didn't belong to you. That is not morality. That is just simple fucking life. That morality requires you to stare in the fucking face of the metallic panther and say, fuck you. To say, I have zero confidence in you. I know you were not here to help me. And I know that because since 1903, since 1856, since 1851, since 1778, you have not been here to fulfill that role in me, and I do not want it from you. I do not need it from you, and I reject you as the sovereign dictator of what the fuck my life is about. Am I asking you to stop paying taxes? Yes, but am I expecting you to? No. If my divorce wouldn't have happened and we would have had kids, I never would be saying this. I'd be terrified about their safety and their well-being. I'd be focused on creating a defensive shield around us as much as possible, and one of my primary defenses would be paying the fucking pirates to leave me alone. Paying them to stay out of my zone. And I knew that if I gave them enough ransom, they would stop doing that. Why? Because I was doing that for my children. So I do not expect this to be a universal battle. But all this bullshit that we're going into about, well, if you fill out this form and then call this person and then call this lawyer and then incorporate and give away all your property to a dead corporation and then assign that dead corporation to a trust underneath the fucking law, then now you're free. And I'm telling you, that's a fucking drug. That's truthium. You're injecting truthium into your veins because the point of morality is it's supposed to be hard. It's supposed to be hard. And the people that don't want to pay taxes don't have conviction. Why? Because they need more of their neighbors to fucking die. They need more foreigners to die because it doesn't hurt them. They're not bothered by it. It doesn't faze them at all. They'd rather pay the taxes for that. Not only would they rather pay, but they actually come up with the number. They do. Hey, government, decided to give you 45% of my life force this year. Here you go. Here you go. I'm moral now. I paid my taxes. Oh, the government sucks, man. They're horrible. They're terrible. Don't say planet, James. I'm going to pay my taxes. Don't say planet, James, okay? Clearly you've lost control because you said the word planet. But I'm going to pay my taxes right now. I'm going to fucking pay him so hard. And I don't need to win. I don't need to win. If I end up getting busted for this, if I end up being convicted of sedition, like ironically this other guy named James True who was convicted of the same thing on Wikipedia about 100 years ago, fine. Because I'm not here to win. I'm here to do what's fucking right. I'm here to have sanctity when I sleep at night. Am I afraid of the metallic panther? Of course. They tried to fucking eat me Monday. Do I think this live stream might trigger something because I put boycott taxes in a hashtag? You're goddamn right I am. Of course I am. I'm not fucking naive. I've been in the Navy. I know exactly what this bureaucracy is like. And I know that they will choose a few of us and make examples out of us. I'm going to do it anyway. You know why? Because you're not moral if you win. You're not moral if you think you win. You can do the right thing because you think you win and you won't get in trouble, and you get no morality from that. You just feel good from it. These are different things. Morality will never, ever, ever carry you down the street peeling grapes for you, fanning your ball sack, telling you how great you are because of how moral the thing you just did. It will always be this fucking crawl on your underbelly under the house to escape something or to prevent something from happening to someone else that you cared about in life. Someone else who fell into the fangs of the metallic panther. You need to define what morality means. We all do. And I'm telling you, the definition is calories. It's calories. You will burn calories when you're immoral. You will burn 0 calories when you're not. You can be non-moral. You cannot commit morality and do the right thing at the same time. You can, because the right thing will serve you. It will serve you, but it will cost nothing. Morality is something that serves you. It serves everyone, and it costs you something. And what it costs me, I am giving to society. And if they remove this YouTube channel, fine. If they remove my books, fine. If they remove whatever else, fine. At least you will remember this day. At least you will remember this speech that the day, 4 days after I fall off the fucking deck and I run away from the metallic panther, I'm trying as hard as I fucking can to sit up in my chair. I'm cussing way too much. I'm going to push the stop cussing button. That 4 days after that, my first priority is telling you about taxes. My first priority is here trying to relate how important this message is. I don't do this because I think it's going to increase my viewership. It clearly doesn't. I'm doing this because it's fucking important. No cuss button again. So I think this button's broken. It's important. And this is how you win wars. You burn you burn calories. That's how you win wars. You burn calories. I'm not asking you to do it. My hope is that enough people like me will do it. My hope is that the bulldozers will come and that it will be so obvious that the bulldozers are coming and they're knocking over people like me that enough people will see it. I know that it won't be because someone feels sorry for me and they'll do it. I know that's not how nature works. I know that I can only appeal to the others out there like me that are right there on that precipice and still paying that fucking tax. Still telling the government, I am a sharecropper for my own time, Mr. Government. And 45% of all the time that I'm able to harvest by surviving belongs to you. And that's what taxes are. And that's what we're doing. And if that money was going to some amazing fucking programs that were turning this world into an aquarium place, I'd be in a different situation now with it. It would take me longer to realize this is immoral. It would still be immoral to tax someone for their time. Time isn't a finite resource. The government is infinite. The government's money is infinite. It can print as much as they want. Yet both of those things are tied to something finite, something that you have no ability to prolong past a certain point. And 45% of your fucking life, of your life force, is going to them. How is that moral? How? But James, I will suffer. Yeah, I know. You're just not suffering enough to make it worth it yet. You're under the impression this is magically going to get better. And you know what? If enough people like me did it, you wouldn't have to do anything. Because you know enough of us were going to do it for you. And I got no beef with that. One of the things I love about humanity is how this works. Is that the decisions that I make to mind these kinds of morality in my own life, regardless of the consequences, have nothing at all to do with anyone else's morality. And whether or not you agree with me, whether or not you see it the same way, that doesn't make me more moral than you or you less moral than me. None of that. Because I have my own personal menu with God. God is seeing my calories every day and he's writing them down. He's like, well, that's interesting. Oh, James, you've frickin' diddled yourself. It's going to cost you. James, you can't stop eating for 2 days? Come on, dude. Holy shit, James. That's a good move there, falling off the porch like that. That's interesting. I like how you thought about that. When you raise out of Maslow's pyramid of food, clothing, shelter, you start to find a hunger for this morality. And you start to realize that you cannot survive without this morality, the same way you couldn't survive without water or food down in the Maslow base. Just as when I fall off the balcony, I am now in food, clothing, shelter mode. Actually, I'm in survival mode. I'm below food, clothing, shelter. I'm in does my body work? And I started right from the base of that pyramid again, and I'm still there. I cannot go outside yet. I mean, I went out on the porch, but I can't do more than about 7 stairs right now. It's just too hurt. It hurts too much right now. I'm working as hard as I can to find the calories to alchemize that pain and realize that this pain it takes to take these steps right now is absolutely necessary to where I want to go. And I do not think a magic ambulance is going to come and inject morality into my arm and say, you're all better now. You're all good now. It's the jungle, baby. And it's a beautiful place. The fact that we have these opportunities, the fact that we have this cross to be crucified on, makes this the best place ever. I love this world. I love that there are people telling me, well, one guy said, well, if you don't want to pay taxes, clearly that fall really fucked up your head. Has no idea I've been saying this for every year. Last week, some chick said, well, James doesn't really work to fight for sovereignty. He doesn't really talk about that so much. And every chance I get, I'm slipping these things in. And I'm not following some dude that none of us have ever heard who's offering a workshop, a 7-day intensive workshop where if you fill out this form and fill out this form and fill out this form, that you will magically be able to have this for free. Because I want you to experience the calories of this kind of morality. I want you to experience how much it takes to actually engage with this. And I do not want to do it if it will kill you. I do not want you to do it if it will hurt your family. That would not be moral, would it? So stop giving me these excuses about how it must be dumb if you'll get hurt, or it'll be dumb if it endangers your family. You swore an oath. You swore an oath to that family to protect them. You can't do it if you're in prison with me. You can't do it if all of our finances have been leaned. It's not going to happen. It's what I love about humanity. I don't want us all doing the same thing. What I'd love is 6% of us to do this. If we had 6% who were doing what I was doing, not just not paying, but outwardly sticking their neck out into the air and saying, I'm not paying, you will start to see that there is this wave of prana that begins, and it won't stop. It is a fucking tidal wave. It is a tidal wave of movement that spreads when you do this. It changes the world around you precisely because of the pain and the threat that you felt, and you did it anyway. That's morality. And you mine it from the rock like you're digging for gold with your fingers. You're in the darkest pits. No one is cheering for you. Everyone is telling you you're wrong. People are calling you trespassing. People are threatening to put you in jail. And you are still down the bottom of that pit, and it's filling up with water, and you don't give a shit because you are clawing with your fingers at the rocks to pull that gold out. That is morality. And nothing else counts. That's all the other stuff is just good feels. That's all it is. You render your world the same way. Your eye of Ra is rendering what it thinks is real. And you have to hold what is real and burn calories for it in the face of opposition. You will be surrounded by millions, possibly millions of people that are telling you it's a spinning ball. And every day you get up and say, I don't care about the ridicule. I don't care about the isolation. The shit's important to me. It's the exact same science, isn't it? Not only do none of us need to pay taxes, Christy, all of us go so far as to voluntarily choose a number. We voluntarily say, I'm going to give you this much. And I want to ask you something. A guy comes up to you and says, hey, I'm going to go kill that guy over there if you give me $1 million. Would you do it? Easy, right? You'd say no. No, I wouldn't do that. Say, all right, well, what if I give you $2 million? No, I won't do that. What if I give you $10 million? No, I won't do that. What if I give you $1 billion? No, I won't do that. No, I'm proud of you. That's great. Way to go. You know, you're really showing some conviction there. Seriously, you are. I sound like a smartass, but really, that is conviction. It's great. But let's do the math. Let's move some of the things over to the other side of the equation, to the other side of the bar. Cancel out the twos. And look at the math another way. Would you be guilty of murder if you paid $1 million and someone else used that money to kill someone? Would you be guilty of that murder? Would you be compliant with it, maybe is a better way? Would you? Well, yeah, if I gave $1 million and I knew that money was going to be used to kill someone else, of course. Yeah, it'd be pretty fucked up. Yeah, I fucking paid for that to happen. I bought the bullets, I bought the plane ticket, I bought the uniforms, I bought the press, I bought the propaganda, all that. Yeah. All right, well, what if it wasn't $1 million? What if you paid $500,000? Well, yeah, same thing, of course. Why would it not be different? Well, what if you paid? What if instead of $1 million, what if that $1 million was split between two of you? What if two of you were contributing and it equaled $1 million? Would that still be immoral? And you're like, well, of course. Well, what if it was 3? Of course. What if it was 4? Of course. What if it was 5? Of course. What if it was 250 million? What if 250 million people were all putting money into the pot, and that pot was used to euthanize your neighbors? Is that moral? And that's where we're at. That's where we're at, because you are surrounded by people that think it is. And they think it's moral because so many other people are doing it. They think it's moral because, well, this is the process and this is how it works. You know, Israel has 42 political parties and they're the size of fucking New Jersey. And America has 2. 2. And when you look in God's eye, not eyes, when you look in God's eye, which is closer than you think, God's going to ask you, I don't get this math with you. Yeah, Meshuggah, I don't get this. Yeah, maybe God's Jewish. Who knows, right? Yeah, Meshuggah, I don't get this math. You show up here, I'm looking at your stuff, and it's like, look, you brought the wallet back. Yeah, big whoop, but come on. You and 250 million other people, you're throwing your quarters into a jar? And that jar's still going to kill someone. Why'd you put the quarter in the jar, James? Why'd you do it? Well, it's the political process. I mean, what choice did I have? Well, you could have said no. No, I couldn't have said no. Well, what do you mean you couldn't have said no? Well, I mean, if I would have said no, they would have put me in jail. Really? Do you know that? Well, yeah. I mean, Wesley Snipes. Yeah, they'd Wesley Snipe me is what they do. You sure? Yeah. So let me ask you something. You know the media lies to you. You know Hollywood lies to you. You know that they come up with every story they can to tell you, and that you've spent all these calories to see through them. Why is it, James, that you decided not to see through this one? Why is it that everything else the government tells you that they're going to do to you is a lie, except for putting you in jail for taxes? Why? Why are they telling the truth then? Could it be that you're believing that because it's convenient? Could it be that you're believing that threat because it's easier? That it's easier because you don't want to have to wake up every day and wonder, is my freedom even real? Am I going to be able to continue my life this way, or is someone going to knock on the door any minute and say it's time to go? You didn't give us your life force. It's time to go, James. Ask yourself what it's like being inside the military. Ask yourself that when you're drafted for a war and you fill out a slip that says you are a conscientious objector, what does that mean? Conscientious objector means I'm not able to be drafted in the military because I do not believe in killing people. So why not do that with your taxes? Why not conscientiously object to what's been happening around here? Do you think all the things that have been happening since 1779 are just some bad luck? Do you really think the whole time all of this has been meant to be moral? There's just been a few slip-ups that just kind of snowballed and snowballed into 73 countries being invaded? In a worldwide euthanization program that's running in broad daylight? Do you really think those were just accidents? Do you really think what they're telling you right now about Russia is just a misunderstanding in facts? Do you really think that the war that's going to be used as an excuse for you to have to barter permission for every single thing you're ever going to do from now until eternity, but only if you pass the COVID test first? Do you think that's just a temporary thing and that it's going to go away once all this blows over? Or do you think this is meant to happen because it's not expensive for it not to? And that what we're calling the government, which is really the metallic panther, would simply keep doing it until 6% of us said no. Until 100 monkeys just like me said, fuck you. I'm not giving you my life force. And I'm not paying you to euthanize my neighbors anymore. And I'm not falling for crap as you tell me that that's a healthcare system. You and I both know if I would have ended up in an ambulance, I'd be on corporate heroin right now. I'd still be in bed. I would not have been allowed to get up or take a step. I would have been force-fed food through a tube. And that tube with the saline water would have cost $650 a bag for salt water dripping into my veins. And at no point in time would physical therapy been offered to me. And that at every point in time, I would have been labeled not as James True, but as the trauma on level 3 who keeps bitching, who keeps giving us trouble. The selfish prick who wouldn't take his COVID vaccine is complaining again. What do you think would happen? And more importantly, do you think it's possible that they could have diagnosed me and told me in such a way that I'm injured in such a deep way that it's a good chance I won't be able to walk, and that after atrophying in the bed for 6 days, after having all my dignity drained in a bedpan through slow looks over a fucking mask inside a COVID ward, where I'm denied all access to anything human at all, where every window is sealed, it's not closed, it's fucking sealed with caulk, do you really think I would have made it out of there? you think I would have been the same person. Because that's a house of charity. And I know what house of charity means now. It means where patients go to be charitous to the panther. Where they go and say, hi, here's my organ donor card. Here's my immune system. Here's my sovereignty. Here's my entire being. Take it from me. Take it from me because you know what's best. Because after all, I gave you 45% of my life force. Why would I stop now? Especially when I'm wounded. Wouldn't it be that when I'm wounded, that would be even more of a time when I would fall for that? That's why I knew, James, you have to get up. You have to get up, James. You have to get back inside your house. They are coming for you. They are coming for you. And the people out on the street, they wanted this trauma to go away. And they knew if an ambulance came, it would pack me up and it would drive me away and it would be gone. And now instead, these neighbors are like, I haven't seen James's door open. I wonder if he's okay in there. And so they worried more about it. This guy didn't go to the hospital. The only exception is James, the guy that turned this house into an Airbnb. He's the only one that witnessed all this happen that's been calling me. Saying, hey man, I'm sorry to bug you. I just need to know, are you okay? I just need to know, are you okay? It's the most honest thing he could say to me. He wasn't calling to see if I was okay. He was calling because he needed to know if I was okay. And that's a beautiful prana economy. It should be that. That's exactly what it should be. I got a call the next day from the town. They want to condemn my house. And I didn't care about anything else. Just wanted to make sure the house was condemned. So they've come and put police lines up. And because I can't make it out of the driveway, I can't pull that yellow tape out yet. And I don't care. Fine. That's fine. I will keep alchemizing this stuff. I will keep doing my best to find my way through this. And I don't even want it over. Looking at the pain that I've felt has really given me an opportunity to have a relationship with what pain really means. Because just like morality is painful, just like morality requires calories, so too does healing. And if you want to heal, you will burn fucking calories. If you want to change, if you want to metamorphosize, you will burn calories. They will not be given to you for free. And we're under the impression if we give our tax dollars to the federal government that we all get this little morality thing, this little morality rebate. And when God looks at us with his eye, we get to say, hey, look, I paid all my taxes. Yeah, I euthanized a lot of people, but we paid all my taxes. Well, yeah, we invaded 73 countries, but it was taxes. I paid them all. I didn't even cheat. I went out of the way to make sure they had every nickel and dime. I went out of the way to say thank you for your service. Thank you. Thank you for your service. My God, I love this PTSD that you brought home. And I love that you bombed that school. And I love that we sent people into Iraq, filled them full of vaccines. They were complaining of Bell's palsy, and that we blamed it on chemical weapons in Iraq. Do you realize that that's what happened now? Look it the fuck up. Look it up. Look it up. The very people you're saying thank you for your service were given Bell's palsy, and their symptoms were blamed on Iraq because of how evil that tyrant is. Do you know how many countries Saddam Hussein has invaded? Well, he invaded Kuwait. I don't know if he did invade Kuwait. I don't know who fucking Wesley Snipes is. I don't know shit about what these people tell me. I don't know. It is the people that wanted to feel that this system is moral, that said, well, clearly they have weapons of mass destruction. Clearly it's Gulf War syndrome. It's not vaccines. And I will keep losing viewers. I will keep being shut down. I will keep having cucks tell me, well, James doesn't really try hard enough, even though he's on his 5th strike this year. I will keep doing that. Because I am mining morality. And I'm not going to stop now. Why would I stop now? Why? All right, I'm going to go. We have dojo today, 12:30. If you haven't been to dojo, check it out if you want. You'll find links on Patreon or on JTrue, either one of those. So we'll be starting here in 23 minutes. This will be a bedside dojo. I cannot sit this way any longer. It's part of why I have to go. But you guys have a great weekend. Thank you so much for hearing this. I really needed someone to hear me today. And you did. Thanks.